Hello guys, welcome to the first lecture of this module, and in this lecture we'll be looking at the data that we'll be dealing with throughout the module and also get familiar with the interface of Excel. So starting off with the first file that we have in our resources, that is the module 1 classwork file. Once you open that file, you'll be having an interface like this in Excel. Now, depending on your versions, I'm using 2016 right now, Excel 2016. If you're using a higher version or a lower version, you'll be having a different UI for Excel, but stay assured the functions remain the same. Now, the file that you opened that is displayed here, which is the module 1 classwork file, that is called a workbook, right? It's called a workbook. Inside a workbook, you can have multiple worksheets that are displayed at the bottom. So here you can see COVID data, other details. So these two are the worksheets inside the module 1 classwork. If you want to add multiple sheets here, you can click on this add new sheet button right next to your existing worksheets. So the entire book is a workbook inside which you have worksheets inside which you have multiple cells. So these small rectangles that you see inside a worksheet, these are called cells. Inside a workbook, you also have different columns which are displayed at the top, and they are alphabetically based. So you have A, B, C, and so on, and these are called columns. At the same time, you also have rows, which are number based. So you have the first row, the second row, and so on. So remember, left hand side, you have rows, and at the top, you have column names. At the top of this data, you have something called as a ribbon. So here from file to this particular ending, this whole section is called a ribbon. Below the ribbon, you have the name box. So if you hover over it, you will get the guide saying name box. And to the right of it, you have the formula bar. Now, what do these things do? How it works? We'll come to that later. For now, just remember that here you have the name box and here you have the formula bar. At the top of the ribbon, you have multiple tabs. So you have the file tab, home tab, insert tab, and so on. And depending on the functions of Excel, they are grouped together in these different tabs. Each tab again is divided into different sections. So for example, under the home tab, you have clipboard section, font section, alignment section, and so on. So depending on the functions, they are divided into different groups. Speaking about the data that we are going to deal with, we have two sheets. So one is the COVID data sheet and the other is the other details sheet. When it comes to COVID data, we have a few columns here, a few columns of data. Starting off with the first one, it is the patient number. So each and every patient here is given a patient number. No two patients will have the same number. So there won't be any two patients who will have the same number of, let's say, 5. Each and every patient will have a unique number. Then we have the date on which the patient was announced COVID positive. This is pertaining to India's COVID data. So here, for example, the first patient was announced positive, COVID positive on 30th of January. Then we have the age bracket. What is the patient's age, their gender, the city from which they hail, the detected state of that particular patient, current status as in are they hospitalized, have they recovered, or have they unfortunately died, that is deceased. Then comes the nationality. So not each and every patient who is suffering from COVID in India is an Indian. There might be foreigners who have come to this country and have been detected positive and are being treated here. So nationality can be India, Italy, or any other country as well. Finally, we come to type of transmission, which can be either imported, which means that someone went outside the country, got the coronavirus from outside the country, then came back to India with that particular virus. Or it can be local, which means there was community transmission where a person got COVID from a fellow person living inside India. Or it could be TBD, that stands for to be decided. So if we do not have the details of that person, how they got the virus, they are labeled as to be decided. That's it for this sheet. Coming to the other sheet of other details, we have a few more details that we can enter here. That is cost of a particular test for COVID, the number of tests conducted in India as a whole, the mortality rate of the virus in India, date on which we have recorded this entire data. Because if I'm updating this data on, let's say today, which is the 14th of July, so I will just write down 14th of July. And finally, we have the time of record, as in at what time I was recording this data. So you have the date and you have the time here. Now, this is what we'll be filling up on our own. Here we have existing data given to us. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one.